Okay, up next we have Jeremiah. Is it Owyang?
How you doing, everybody?
Great. How are you?
All right, everybody. I'm Jeremiah. I am coming to you live in Silicon Valley. And if you're wondering, that's not a digital stream. This is the tiny Airstream Studios in my backyard where I work. I am the CMO of Rally Network Association, a relatively new group that stood up, and we really make the promise come true of making token economies made easy for developers. But before we talk about that, I think we should talk about some stories. I've been through a number of the internet trends throughout the years. I started off my career watching Web 2 really bubble up. And there was a promise that was made to us that we could create any media that we wanted. Our voices would be heard around the globe, and then the power would be distributed to the people and the crowd. And I was one of those people who championed that message and that promise. But along the way, some things went awry. It became centralized. The information wasn't used correctly. Governance didn't happen. They could make changes to our information and our data, and we as users and content creators had very little upside, financial upside as well. So the internet is, in many ways, in my opinion, broken. It's misaligned, and when it comes to the direction and the incentives. And there's 5 ways to think about what would be a great internet. And here's the 5 criteria. And I worked on this at my prior firm, Kaleido Insights. It's having ownership of our data and identity. 2, we have the ability to govern about how the internet experience is going to be used and the changes on these websites. 3, we can easily create and use this content and build. This is the internet for everybody. And we should have a sense of ownership, and that means equity as well. And of course, we can share in the upside of what could happen. And while Web 2 companies really were using the labor that we worked hard to build the content, we didn't have any of those 5 things. And so it's now time to think about what would be a better internet. Just one stat to share. One of the largest social networks that changed their name, they are offering a new platform to sell virtual goods in their metaverse, and the fees they want to charge, and we have little control, can't vote over this, it would be 47.5% fees. That doesn't make sense. So instead, I think there is a better way, and this is aligning incentives using token economies. And token economies can do all of these things. And I'm not talking about cryptos for securities. I'm talking about using tokens for engaging your community that's using your app, for enabling loyalty for those that are contributing content or building with it, and for shared outcomes. Certainly, they can be used for liquidity, but they can also be used to create programmable experiences. So if somebody holds a certain amount of tokens, you can render a unique experience, and you can reward the behaviors that you want. And of course, they could vote, and they can have governance if you wanted to have that type of relationship. So let me give you some examples. I got about 5 examples here of some great ones that I think work really well. And these projects are ones out there on the web, and some of them are ones that we're working with. But in particular, let's talk about Pool Suite. I love what Pool Suite is doing. This is an NFT community, and they enable their users to have this NFT they purchase, and they can access a very unique experience when they go to their website, poolsuite.net, and it renders a cool experience. Also, on your phone in your mobile wallet, the NFT creates a digital pass, like a credit card, with a unique QR code with your name on it and what mint number that you have. So they really figured out cross-channel ways to really use this membership. And so this is a way to use this. You can use regular tokens or NFT. You could use fungible tokens or non-fungible tokens to render unique experiences. So you could use them either way. And I think that's a unique way of showing how these are programmable monies, and they could be used for experiences. The other one is called Taki, and Taki is focused on India and other markets as well. They're using Rally Protocol, which we focus on, and it's basically like a microblog. Think like Twitter or a Facebook feed, where you can create content and contribute content. And the more content that you add, you can earn the Taki coin. And if you see another creator that's making amazing content, you can gift them with the gold Taki token. And these are tokens, these are fungible tokens that can be used. Now, this does a couple of wonderful things. Of course, it encourages people to create content. They're going to be engaged. You can see which one of the pieces of content is generating the best information. You've seen pieces of this with Reddit, and there are kudos points, but now with tokens, the people can actually use them, and we could use the tokens in other ways. Certainly, they can become liquid as well. So that's Taki as a way to use tokens. Obviously, let's talk about governance. We have very little say over the direction of the internet. We are not on the board of directors for these companies. We could use our voices, sure, but there's other ways, of course. So you could use tools like Snapshot to enable your community and figure out how many tokens they have, or you could figure out how to smooth that out with methods like quadratic voting to make sure there's a little risk of whales trying to overstate their opinion. So using tokens for governance is already being done with most DAOs, but I think this will spread to other consumer apps as well. It shouldn't be limited to those just that are in Web3. I think we'll see these things cross over to traditional Web2 apps as well. Let's also talk about perks with tokens. Friends with Benefits, I'm sure you're familiar with them. If you want to be a member, you hold 75 of their fungible tokens, and then you can get access to the community if you're approved in. But if you don't have that much currency on you, you can have a few coins to get access to their newsletter or to their regional events. You can have tiers and gates for the different tokens to be used. Now, there's a couple of pieces on that. One is to use those for holding tokens, which increases the holding and the value of that token and the price. And secondly, you want to have a redemption experience. So Rally.io, who is using Rally Protocol, obviously with the name, creators are creating their own creator coins, and they can offer perks. They can offer goods like art or NFTs or experiences, go to a physical dinner or a party, or even services, time with a creator, so they can use it in order to access different gaming experiences, or if they're in the game space, or if they wanted to access galleries. We have artists that are using this as well. So all of these can be used in different ways for redemption as well. That's the key thing, holding and redemption. Now, the highest form of a token economy is an ecosystem. And this is when your community is using the tokens in a peer-to-peer way. And they're finding new ways to do this. And so I think the leader in the space is, at this time, is Yuga's Bored Ape coin. And they're partnered with Animoca. And this coin is being used in games, and there's obviously sponsorships with big brands. Some large apparel brands are partnered with the Bored Apes. Animoca has numerous brands that are using their platform and sandbox, which they own. And this is a way to create a full-on economy around your brand. So the most successful token economies, those members will find new ways to do commerce with each other, whether it's offering new experiences, goods such as digital goods, or even physical goods like actual physical shoes that you could pick up at a real retail store and actually purchase or have shipped to you. And of course, unique games and experiences. So think about these in levels of progression. I try to give you this as a method to think about how you would build your token economy. So to start thinking about how do we use tokens, now is the time when the market is in its crypto winter. Using a token economy to incentivize people to be loyal to your app and your experience and your brand. You can encourage them to use your services, and you can either airdrop them, or they can earn tokens, or you can give them opportunities to procure and purchase them, either trading crypto or using credit cards for fiat to purchase that token. Tokens are the ideal strategy when we're in a down economy to really build that economy, to build your community around you. So that would be the way to think about this. And the big thing that we're trying to think about is, how do we build a better internet? And the 5 categories, again, are thinking about how do we get our community to have ownership and access to their identity and data, to governance, so they can create the internet that they want to, so they can have ownership in the communities that they belong to, and they can share in the upside, the economic upside. So if you want to learn more, you can drop me some comments. I'll be happy to respond. I am Owyang, my first initial last name, on Twitter and most socials and Telegram. And you can learn more about Rally Protocol at rly.io. WCEF.network. I want to thank you all for your time today.
Thanks, Jeremiah. That was a lot of information. I think there's a lot of activities going on now as people are trying to build companies. A lot of them are thinking about doing DAOs, and I think you laid out a really good framework of understanding what we need to think about if we do create a DAO, and if tokenomics, how the tokenomics are going to work. So I think there's a lot to be thought through with what you've said. So thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.